you guys to understand that the most important ingredient for you to see muscle growth is simply the intensity with which you train. It's a skill that takes time to develop, and I know that a lot of you have not fully developed it yet. And because of this, you're not seeing the results in the gym that you want. So I'm going to walk you through a few of my sets, and we're just going to talk about training intensity. That's it. It's simple. And I encourage you to watch the whole video. It's not going to be flashy. It's not going to be sexy. There's no clickbait, drama, whatever, quick gimmick way to grow thing. It's simply just going to be an analysis and a discussion of what actually is the most important factor for producing muscle growth, pushing your limits. And it's a skill that takes time to develop. So let's look at some of my sets here to see how it should look when you push to the absolute maximum. I'm going to have a little shot of whiskey too while we get into this. First thing you should notice is that it is physically impossible. Cheers, more gains. For me to maintain a normal facial expression when training to failure and doing a shot of whiskey. Same deal. Whew, that one tickled, little taint tickler. So if in the gym, when you go, you notice that your face remains somewhat normal throughout your whole set, then you're simply not pushing hard enough. And because the reason that this is a good indicator is because it's just physically impossible when you're enduring that intense of physical pain, short, temporary physical pain for long-term gain. Those are the money reps. That's where you grow. You're just not going to be able to, you need an outlet for the pain. Another good indicator is if your foot starts jitter jamming and all around the place. That happens to me sometimes with slow tempo drop sets. The pain is becoming unbearable to such a point where just jacking my foot around is some outlet for it. Anyways, the next time you're in there, I'm not acting. If you've watched my content for a while, all my working sets look like this. The next time you're in the gym, watch yourself to make sure that, if you really want to grow, you need to push to the point where your face starts to contort. I know that sounds silly, but I think that's one of the simplest indicators. The second one is that a good part of your training program should be structured towards chasing additional reps. So, in whatever lift you're doing, I recommend keeping it somewhat consistent, at least for a couple months, and write down in your phone, on a piece of paper, or just remember it in your head, whatever works for you, track the weight and the reps that you do each session. And I know here in this set that the most I've ever got so far is 13 reps with the 115 on this bench using this form. And so every single session, I'm right before that set, I'm focusing all of my energy and intensity and drive into this next set. I'm not getting distracted by people in the gym, girls walking by. I don't have a smartphone. I use an MP3 player. I don't know where it went, so I can't get distracted by that. But whatever you got to do to have all of your focus and intentions on that next set and put that number in your mind. And most likely you're going to take an L. I took an L here. I didn't get 14. I got 13. But if you keep showing up and attacking that set, chasing that additional number, doing your best to keep your form consistent, don't let it deteriorate. The form doesn't have to be perfect when you're pushing to the max. In the words of the legendary Eric Bugenhagen, when you're horse cocking some weight, it's okay to not have a picture perfect form, in my opinion. It's worth the advantages of just chucking some heavy weight around. Doesn't mean your whole program should be like that. There's a place for really good form, slower tempo. For now, let's just stick with this horse cockery. You need to make sure that you know the number you're going for and you make it your personal mission. And eventually, 5 weeks down the line, 6 weeks down the line, I'm going to get that 14. I'm going to keep taking L's, but I'm going to keep showing up and going to war until I get it. And that's what's going to drive a lot of your growth. And baked into that is an intensity of focus. And just simply making it your mission, and you know what you did last time, you've prepared properly so that you're going into the set with a mission. You know the number you're going for. That will force you to slowly develop a really high intensity because it feels like shit when you don't get it. You feel like a failure. So you don't want to feel like a failure. You want to progress And the reality is you're going to feel like a failure most times, but that's what the process looks like when you're chasing for more. Or you could just train comfortably and feel good about yourself and not grow. It's a trade-off. So those two things, I think, are two simple things you can start implementing to make sure that you're pushing with really high intensity. A third one is that the next time you're in the gym, think about some shit that pissed you off. Think about somebody that fucked you over. A coworker, a friend, past relationship, something. I know there's something in there that just pissed you the fuck off. And take a minute and find that thing. And your next workout tomorrow, whenever you go in there, before your set where you're chasing an additional rep, take a minute, close your eyes, and think about how that person fucked you. And tap into the energy. Let the anger boil up. Let it be there. In the world nowadays, we're very civil, which is great for everybody's safety and everybody's cooperation. But that doesn't mean you don't have pent-up anger and frustration. And freaking gym and weights is the perfect way to let it out, because it's going to be therapeutic and it's also going to help you to train harder. So you channel that memory, you think about it, and you're like, fuck that motherfucker. And then you go do your set, and you're thinking about it the whole time. You're taking out that anger and aggression physically on the dumbbell. And what this is going to do is give you that extra gear, primal, just fucking rage, to train harder than you ever have before. And it's going to expose you to what your sets should really look like. And I'm not saying do this over and over and over again. At least once to experience it, maybe the odd time where you're really struggling for motivation, but generally speaking, some music, maybe some pre-workout, and a desire to push your physical limits and feel like a beast doing it are more healthy long-term motivators. But using past negative emotion is useful in the short term to give you that extra gear so that you can see what it's like to actually push yourself. Because a lot of you, the problem is you think you're training hard, but you're not really tapping into that extra gear. And you need to find a way to feel it. And people that I've trained in the past, this is why I feel this way, is because I just saw it over and over again. So I'm training hard, and then with me there, forcing them to push their absolute limits, they go, holy shit. That's like and they're like, sometimes people get mad because I'm making them feel pain, and they're like mad at me initially. But then later they're like, fucking hey, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't realize that was like a thing. So that initial exposure is really important for you, because then you can look at training and know what the difference between training hard and training like insane next level. And I really believe that ability to push through physical short-term pain is what's going to drive most of your growth, combined with consistency and some ability to vary and progress your training. It's really not that complicated. And the thing that most people are missing is it's uncomfortable physically. And most people, you don't want to do it. And so you got to think, if you really want to produce substantial muscle growth, you need to develop a bit of an edge somehow and be able to push yourself into some physical discomfort and learn to like it. And I think the angle where, you can like it is that it makes you feel like a beast, simply put. It makes you feel like, I'm alive. And we all have that in us. You've got it in you. You just need to tap into it. And once you do, because nobody wants to do something that feels uncomfortable over and over again. Discipline's part of it, but you need to find a way to like that burn and that pain, because it makes you, after the set, you're like, I love it. You need to tap into that, and then it becomes a habit. And anybody that learns to develop that and develop that skill, which these points I'm kind of talking about here are things I think that will help you to do it, because ultimately you need to go out there and do it. I can't do it for you. Anyone that does that, they almost always see good results in the gym. I've almost never seen somebody that shows up consistently and learns to truly push their limits and learns to seek for the pain. Like, I don't like a set if I don't feel that if I kind of chinsed out and it pisses me off on the next set, I punish myself because I don't know, it becomes a habit. And then after the workout, I feel great. I feel so relaxed. I got all that energy out. I feel accomplished. It's just to me, it's a better way to train. And the last thing I want to finish with is that you need to develop proper form first. And so if you're just starting out, don't necessarily do this. You should spend a month or two just showing up consistently and pushing to some degree, but you don't need to go blitzkrieg insane psycho mode. You need to give yourself time to learn how to execute the movements properly. And then after you've done that, the additional component is to do warm-up sets. So for me, I'm doing 5-6 warm-up sets with lighter weight, progressively increasing it, building up to my working weight, so that by the time I get to my working weight, I feel great about all my joints because I've given myself the chance to warm up properly. So I'm not, like, an injury is really low. I know how to execute the movement. I'm thinking about a handful of cues to execute it properly, and then I'm just letting the fucking beast mode out and just going to town. It's nothing that crazy. Like, it's not like some insane epic thing, but I just think developing that process of warming up properly and then just like tapping into this inner aggressive beast is what's going to fuel most of your growth. Thanks for watching. If you watched the whole thing, hopefully there's some useful things in there that you can take into the gym to make some more progress. Have a great day. Peace.